this is Classroom Stories, examples of using Maple to enhance teaching and learning. We really wanted to do this webinar today just to showcase some of our favorite and some of the most innovative ways that teachers are using Maple around the world. This webinar has been specifically requested by users looking for inspiration in their own classrooms. If you've attended one of our live webinars before, you know that when you finish the live event, a pop-up comes up with a survey, feedback survey with some questions on how the webinar went, and a suggestion box with feedback for future topics. That is where this webinar was born, essentially. That was a user request. So we do absolutely listen to that feedback and try to accommodate with webinars like this one. So we have plenty of examples of using Maple in the classroom. These are just a few. At the end of the webinar, I will be going through where to find additional case studies if you are interested. So the first thing I want to do here is just give you a quick little background about Maple. We do call it the essential tool for mathematics. It enables students to focus on new concepts without getting lost in the mechanics of the tool. So students grasp concepts more easily with immediate results. They have interactive exploration features and visualization. There's also over 5,000 functions in Maple, so it's covering almost every area of mathematics, be that algebra, calculus, geometry, etc., etc. And we have lots of resources for students and teachers to share and further interact with Maple. One of those, I do have a few examples here. The Maple Cloud is a internet application where you can upload your documents or math apps into the cloud to share with faculty or your students or your class. You can also set it to share globally with all of our user base if you think somebody else might get a lot of use out of it too. So you can set it to either share globally or share with a specific group or one person. There's also the Maple Player. It's a free one-time version of Maple. So basically, if you have an app you've created in Maple and you'd like to share it with someone who doesn't have Maple, they can download the Maple Player and open your app and play around with all the parameters that you've set, but they can't change, delete, or add anything to what you've created. They can just play around with what you've sent them. So that's pretty cool. And then there's Maple Primes. Maple Primes is our user community. It's a really amazing resource of students, faculty, engineers, hobbyists, any type of user who's on there sharing questions. That you can ask questions, gets answers from other users, or you can share your experiences with Maple, or if you just did something really cool and you want to share it, you can do that too. Our Maple developers are on there as well, so that's a cool opportunity to connect with our developers. So that's a little bit about Maple. Let's go into our first case study. So this is Pasadena City College. Professor Lang from Pasadena City College found that her students were not gaining a deep understanding of concepts, so she decided to implement Maple in her classroom. What students found really helpful was Maple notation. It looks the same as what you find in a textbook, so there's really no disconnect there between what students have seen in their traditional materials and what they're now seeing in Maple. So it makes it a lot easier to integrate the tool into your class. She brought it into her class with interactive tutorials, starting with her beginner algebra class, and students completed this in lab type workshops. So students performed 50% better in this class, this beginner algebra class, compared to a class that was not using Maple. So that's a pretty significant amount. So that's pretty cool. And she had a quote here that I just thought was really great. She said, "Maple rouses an investigative mind and opens students' eyes to their own potential." I think that's a pretty powerful quote, right? So it kind of just shows you how receptive her students were to using Maple. Because of the success she saw with Maple, Professor Lang also implemented Maple TA. Maple TA is our online testing and assessment platform for STEM education. I won't be talking about Maple TA today. I'm strictly talking about Maple. If you are interested in Maple TA, there are plenty of resources available on our website that you can look into. So this is Appleby College. Despite the name, Appleby College is actually a secondary school. And this was a high school math teacher, Calvin Armstrong, who looked for a tool that would help prepare students for post-secondary education. He knew that most of his students were, if not all of them, were going to be taking some kind of math class in their post-secondary education, and that they were probably going to be asked to use some kind of software. So he wanted to maybe get them a little bit ahead of the curve there, compared to students who maybe hadn't used anything. And so he brought Maple into his grade 12 calculus class, and he had so much success with it that he actually brought it into his lower grade 10 linear systems lessons. So that just kind of shows the scalability of the tool, right? That they were able to bring in the tool to somebody who had a lesser understanding of mathematics, and he still had success with it. So and I'm still using it, and it's still going great. And he found that it added flexibility in creating tests and assignments. He really loved the ability to mark up a document, change the parameters of a graph, and that he was able to develop meaningful materials without spending too much time. And he had another really awesome quote that I really liked, and it was, "Maple lets students push boundaries that they couldn't with other tools." Okay, and on to Georgia College. There were three professors in this case. They were interested in seeing how computer algebra systems impacted learning, so they purchased Maple. So this was a little bit, I guess, of a research project too, which is kind of neat. So Maple was used in their Calculus 1, Calculus 2, and linear algebra courses. In these courses, professors implemented Maple labs to be completed every 2 weeks at students' own pace. Topics included functions, Riemann sums, integration, etc. And 85% of students reported that Maple was a substantial aid to their learning. Students also reported that they felt Maple would be helpful in their future careers. We're going to go abroad a little bit for the next story. This is the Technical University of Denmark, or DTU as they like to be called. Professors have been teaching with Maple for over 25 years, the professors that did this case study. So considering Maple we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, that's pretty substantial, right? They were in on the ground floor using Maple. And so they had a lot of experience with it. And it's now their primary tool for their first year mathematics course. So every student that goes into DTU and is taking a first year mathematics course is using Maple. I'm not exactly, actually I have it in my notes here. The course is taken by approximately 1,000 students. a year, or a semester, I guess. So that's a lot of students that are having success with Maple, and they cover topics like calculus, linear algebra, and geometry. And the professors think that students succeed by using Maple to interactively solve problems and learn the fundamentals of mathematics. They say that students particularly enjoy the graphing capabilities, and engineering students are using Maple for the mix of mathematical and engineering concepts. So Maple does have some engineering capabilities to it as well. We have an ebook, The Advanced Engineering Mathematics, things like that can definitely work for an engineering type course. After the success of implementing this into their first year mathematics course, other departments have also started implementing Maple, including mechanical and chemical engineering. So there's a lot of people at DTU that are using Maple, which is pretty cool, I think. This is kind of my last story. This is my favorite story. I think it's really fantastic. This is a student by the name of Pervin, and to be honest, I am doing my best to pronounce her name correctly. I'm sorry if I am not. She is a high school student who's legally blind. She uses a computer equipped with voice output and a braille line. She attended a school for the blind, and she said she felt disconnected from the seeing world. So her and her parents decided that she should maybe attend what we would consider to be a traditional school. She uses Maple as her primary learning tool for math and science courses. A classic Maple worksheet works really well with her voice output on her computer. And she's unable to use a traditional calculator, so Maple helps her in that aspect as well. And she plans, with the help of her math tutor, she's really doing quite well, and she plans to continue using Maple as she heads to university. She's planning on studying psychology, and she thinks it would be really helpful in her statistics courses. So, and yeah, I think it would really help with our statistics courses. We have a pretty robust statistics package. So, like I said, this is my favorite story. It's super inspiring, and it's really cool to be involved with Pervin's education, and knowing that we could help her get the most out of her education. So that was just a really quick overview of some case studies. I included some resources here that we can definitely look at. There's some more case studies here. I'm going to open this up here. So this is our case studies page. There are a lot of case studies. So I'm sure that you can find something applicable to your situation. If you can't and you're interested in learning how other people are using it, send an email to webinars@maplesoft.com. I'd be more than happy to help go through and see if we can find some case studies that would be relevant to how you would use Maple. To make this a little bit more user-friendly, I guess, there's this drop-down menu here where you can sort by product or industry. So if you're using it for high school education, you only want to see high school stories, you can click on that there. How I got to this page, if you just get to the support and resources up here, and you'll see in the examples and applications, there's the user case studies here. So let me get back to my PowerPoint here. Live webinars. is obviously another resource. I just clicked on our live webinars page here. You can see all examples of, or all the instances of upcoming webinars, and you can feel free to register for any of those. We sure would be happy to see you back. And one more resource is our recorded webinars library. So this is, there's over 500 webinars in here that we've done in the past that you can watch at your leisure if you don't necessarily have the time in your schedule to attend a specific event. This page was actually recently redone. It looks fantastic, and there are a lot of good search features in here. You can filter by keywords. So if you're looking specifically for statistics, for example, you can just type in here and say statistics and search. Things like that. You can search by product, language, and you can find what you're looking for. A note to that, this session will be recorded as well, and it will be on the recorded webinars page shortly, probably about 2 to 3 business days. If you're interested in watching the session again, as a registrant of the webinar, you'll automatically receive a recording when it becomes available, again in that 2 to 3 business day time frame. And one resource that isn't on my slides, actually I did mention it earlier, but it's not on my resources slides, is Maple Primes. I needed to type the www. I'm sorry. Here. There you go. So this is Maple Primes. Like I said, it's a user forum. You can see here our major announcement is Maple 2018 launched yesterday. So we do have the announcement blog here, but you can scroll down and you can see somebody's talking about a training session they attended. There's some questions here. Sorry, here are the questions. Where how can I print a Maple file, and how can I do this and that and the other thing. And then you can scroll over on the right hand side here. There's MapleSoft blog posts. Again, this is the launch announcement, but this is our official blog, and you can developers will post here, and you can talk to your developers, ask them questions. So it's kind of neat, right? Like I don't know of another platform where you can really connect with your developers in such a free and open way. So that is Maple Primes. Okay, and so that is the end of my short and sweet presentation here today. So I hope that you were inspired by some of the stories